Well, good afternoon, everybody. I guess it's good morning still. I'm Ben Dorr, Executive Director with Minnesota Gun Rights and Minnesota Right to Life. And today we're joined with the lovely Michele even from MAGAsota. MAGAsota, how you doing, Michele?
Great.
We're happy she's here. We're very happy she's here because in case nobody knows what is going on in the state of Minnesota right now, our RINO, and I mean totally RINO party as a whole now, is attacking grassroots Minnesotans, the members of Minnesota Gun Rights. They are attacking the members and supporters of MAGAsota, the largest state-level pro-Trump organization or PAC or whatever you want to call it. Here in the state of Minnesota, they are attacking viciously our people, you, the grassroots Minnesotans, and we're sick and tired of it. So that's what we're talking about here today. We're just going to get a couple of things going on our side. If you would, guys, right out of the gate, do us a great big fat favor. Share this video with your family, with your friends. Start a watch party. Throw it in every single group that you can find. We would love to get this message out there, and trust me, we're going to get this message out there to everybody across the state of Minnesota so they know what's going on here, because what's happening is the Republican Party is basically destroying themselves. And with that, President Trump's chances of getting reelected in the state of Minnesota, and of, quite frankly, our ability to protect our rights, to protect our guns, to protect the babies, to protect, as is the case with MAGAsota, President Trump. What do you have to say?
Well, I finally got my Facebook Live going here, so that's
I'm going to cut you off 1 second. Guys, if the audio is good, we're sharing a mic here. If the audio is good, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you can hear both of us talking here. If not, we have to do a little adjusting over here. Make sure you can hear us. So go ahead.
Well, Ben, the attacks on MAGAsota have been from the inception. This has been going on. Since we launched MAGAsota back in June, the other side, it's supposed to be our side, has come out swinging at us, and we've been taking hits nonstop. And at first, it really bothered me that fellow Republicans would be attacking a grassroots effort to support President Trump. And after a while, I just decided to stop listening to all that noise because it was a distraction and it was taken away from our efforts. And this week, I think this was kind of like the last straw, where the Minnesota GOP, the Senate caucus and the House caucus has now officially gotten behind this with emails, developing a website that is trying to run our efforts into the ground and to destroy MAGAsota and its members.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what she said. They had enough. We've had enough. What's happening here, folks, this is the eternal struggle for power in Minnesota, in America, and really, isn't it the history of the world? Isn't this the reason why we left England to begin with? Isn't this the reason why we fought against the Brits and won our freedom? We have a government that says you may not have a voice outside of us. You may not have any power outside of us. You may not have members, supporters. You may not be free thinkers outside of the government itself. That is socialism. That is leftism. That is everything against America. And this entire hit, and like Michele just said, they've got an entire website, statewide emails all across the state telling everybody, desperately trying to convince the grassroots supporters that we are trying to destroy President Trump and that they are the ones who are trying to protect our republic, that they are the ones who are pro-gun, that they're pro-life, that they're pro-Trump, and they're attacking their own base. They're attacking the best people in Minnesota. And again, folks, this is the Republicans. It is the Republicans. The state GOP, Jennifer Carnahan And I'll tell you right up, I've never said a bad word about Jennifer Carnahan in my life. In fact, I've always kind of liked her husband, Congressman Jim Hagedorn. I've always kind of liked him. I've met with him, talked with him a few times. I hear he's in a difficult way. I've always kind of liked him, but now, boy, just coming out of nowhere, you get a total vicious attack from the GOP trying to bring down folks who have power outside of them.
Right.
This is the people's power.
Right. It's we the people. We're the voters, we're the taxpayers, and somehow we're irrelevant. They want us to sit down, shut up, listen to what they're telling us, only do what they're telling us to do or not do. And in many cases, it's not doing anything. They want you to send the money, but then go home, sit down and shut up. We'll call you when we need you. And I'm tired of it. And so there's thousands of people in our network that are tired of it too. We want our voice back. We have lost our voice. We're not being represented at the Capitol. And you need to wake up to this, friends. We've been down into the Capitol a lot, following different bills, different issues. And I became very active when the fraud was discovered in the CCAP program.
Yes.
And that really set fire under my feet when I was watching these fake daycare centers receiving hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars to run these sham operations where there was no child care being provided to anyone. They pack up our money in a suitcase and they fly it over to Somalia or any other war-torn country, or even not, and they use this money to fund terrorism. That was totally outrageous to me, and that was the final straw for me. And I put a lot of time and effort into that issue at the Capitol and doing protests. We had 50 people. Our first protest we did was 50 people at the Attorney General's office. We marched into that office, and it was amazing. And Lori Swanson was the Attorney General at the time. Of course, she was in the building, but she wasn't going to come out and talk to us. And we stood there and waited for about an hour. But that was just the first of many. We ended up over at the DHS confronting Carolyn Ham.
Did you hear what she's saying? Before she started MAGAsota, before she started bringing her friends, her neighbors, grassroots Minnesotans on board to help elect President Trump in Minnesota, to help turn the state for Trump, back before that even happened, the fraud was discovered, right? The Somalian child care or daycare fraud, where these people are taking our money, our tax dollars, and sending it overseas. It was Michele and her friends. It was Michele and the people she knew who were staunch Americans, staunch supporters, conservatives, beautiful, wonderful people. They were the very first people in this entire state to get up and go to the Attorney General's office and protest against the CCAP fraud. The CCAP fraud that our Republican legislature, we had a Republican House and Senate in 2017. It was our Republican legislature under Kurt Dowd and Paul Gazelka who are funding this fraud. Okay, they're the ones who voted to give your money to fund this fraud. Michele and her friends were the very first people in this state to stand up and make a stink about it, to protest against it. But now, the GOP comes out and condemns Michele, condemns the supporters of MAGAsota as being anti-American, anti-Trump, and somehow opposed to the GOP. No, we're opposed to rhinos. Rhinos. So she said they went out and protested at the Attorney General's office. And he said, you went over to the DHS?
We went over to the DHS.
I watched that video.
Yeah.
I watched that video.
It was really funny. Quick story. I was just out taking a walk, and we had been calling Carolyn Ham for days on end, telling her that we need to stop this fraud.
And who was she?
She was Carolyn Ham was the legislative, she was in charge of the DHS.
Oh, okay.
She headed up the DHS. So I'm out having a walk, and this number calls in, and it's her, and I'm thinking it's kind of a joke, and because she found out that we were staging a protest. That day we were coming down to the DHS to do a protest. So she called me up. She's pretty smart. She's going to, nip this in the bud. And so she called, and set up a meeting. And so we got down there with our protesters and we were protesting outside the building, and she offered to meet with us. And like any smart politician or bureaucrat does, they get you in an office and they sit down and they let you know that they only have about 45 minutes to talk to you. And her and Emily, gosh, I can't think of her name, Emily, her partner, they sucked up about 30 minutes of our time
Just
talking about themselves, talking about how wonderful the DH
What a politician thing
I know,
to
right?
do.
Sucked up all the time. And by the time we got to our last 15 minutes, you know, all we were getting was the runaround, denial, 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 denial. And that just set a chain reaction. And I just started combing through bills at that point because I was thinking that there's more to this. So I spend a lot of time just going through bills, and I use keywords to search bills. And what I realized was that not only did Jim Abler sponsor that $17 million bill back in 2017 just for the Somali community, there were multiple bills out there at that time that were funding even more money to that community. So it was isolated to the that community only, not to you and I. We didn't benefit.
So it wasn't public funds. They were giving the money directly to the Somalian community.
Our tax dollars.
From our tax.
Our tax dollars going straight to
Jim Abler. He's a Republican.
He's a RINO.
He's a Oh yeah, he's a
terrible.
RINO. He's a RINO. Again, these are not Democrats doing this. These are Republicans doing this. And our great sin, the great sin that MAGAsota has committed, the great sin that Minnesota Gun Rights has committed, who I work for, and Minnesota Right to Life, the great sin of these organizations and the wonderful people who support them is simply telling the truth about what Republican lawmakers, Republican politicians are doing in our state capital. This is where this condemnation has come from. This is where this vicious attack on grassroots, conservative, Republican Minnesotans, that's where it came from. I think this must be one of your supporters over here, says, who's that guy sitting on the right? I guess, I don't know if I'm on the left or right on their screen. I'm Ben Dorr with Minnesota Gun Rights and Minnesota Right to Life. And for those of you who don't know, this is Michele Even with MAGAsota and just about every other staunchly American conservative issue cluster under the sun. So these people have been leading the fight against CCAP fraud, against this total annihilation of our tax dollars, this theft, total theft of our money being given to certain groups of people just to pander for votes. And we're not talking about one or two politicians in particular here. This entire attack on these organizations and on grassroots Minnesotans was sanctioned by the GOP party itself. Jennifer Carnahan, who is the chairwoman of the Minnesota GOP, and the entire executive committee of the Minnesota GOP has signed off on this attack on conservatives, not leftist Democrats, not Ilhan Omar. I've never seen this level of Republican unity in my life to stand up against childcare fraud, against Minsher, against the $12 billion increase in taxes, against Real ID, against the funding for abortion. I've never seen this level of party unity ever against a leftist cause or leftist politicians or leftist groups like Moms Demand Action or NARAL or, the Bernie Sanders or the Bloomberg campaign. Bloomberg rolls into town, sets up 8 offices, hires 50 full-time paid field staff to turn Minnesota into a total shithole. But they're not scammers. No, MAGAsota. Michele Even, she's the real dirty scammer here.
I'm sorry, friends, if this is so painful for you to listen to and understand what's happening here. And I'm sorry that you're disappointed that who we expect to represent us are not doing that.
Yeah.
And that's the sad reality of this. They're not doing their jobs. And I know it's painful to think that you've contributed to them or you support them and you go out and talk great things about them. But I have researched these people. I researched their bills. A vote does not lie. Putting your name on a bad bill is not a lie. It is a fact. And I go through and I look at these bills, and it is really sad for me to think about it too, because I know that I am not being represented in this state, and it makes me really, really sad. But that is reality, friends. That's reality. And if we don't start calling out our own and keeping them accountable, we're done for. We don't have any control over the left. We have zero control over them. We'll never control them until we control our own. When we get these people back in line and start doing conservative votes and talking conservative, you know, spending down, lose so much of this government BS that we're involved in, and just do the right thing. Do the right thing by the party platform, because honestly, I don't even know if they know what it is. Stop voting on these unconstitutional bills and stop making excuses.
Well, that's the
you
whole...
can vote no. You can vote no. And if there's something in that bill you need, go write a new one. And,
well, that's
and
the
throw
incredible
another vote out
part
there.
is these Republicans, again, just for everybody knows, almost the entire Republican legislature in 2017, remember, we had a Republican House and a Republican Senate. I saw a total loser on Facebook Live the other day saying, how on earth could Ben Dorr, Minnesota Gun Rights, and MAGAsota think that the Republicans could have stopped that funding for Planned Parenthood? We had a Democrat-controlled House and Senate in 2017. No, we didn't. We had a Republican-controlled House and Senate in 2017, and they appropriated all of these funds for abortion. And they say, we have to. We have to. The Supreme Court says we have to. Well, first they say we didn't. We didn't fund abortion. We did not do that. These guys are liars, scammers, thieves, and fraudsters. Well, once all of that veneer has been totally pulled off and the truth is slapping them upside the face, well, then they say, well, we had to. We had to. The Supreme Court said so. I mean, because it's in our Constitution, so they say. The Supreme Court has ruled that they can kill a baby if they want to, right? Right? Oh, but then they turn around and throw all of this crap, all of these bills into a giant omnibus bill, which our Constitution clearly says they're not allowed to do, that bills must pass as single subject bills. But they totally ignore that part of our state constitution, and they pass these massive bloated omnibus bills all over the place. But so they can do that. They can do that. That's a constitutional rule they can break. But, oh gosh, we could never stop the killing of 10,000 babies a year by voting against this so-called almighty, all-powerful Supreme Court ruling. Wrong. You could have voted no. You chose to vote yes. You want to have your cake and eat it too. And you relied on MCCL, Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life, to cover your worthless hides, to give you protection, A ratings, and endorsements, while these Republicans, these rhinos vote to kill babies. They voted to kill babies.
Hey, Ben, so last year at the end of the session, I was watching it close because, you know, the Republicans were waffling back and forth on the CCAP spending, that whether or not they were going to support that bill. And, you know, of course, they were giving everyone the runaround. And I remember going to bed the last night, the last day of the session. I went to bed, I think, at like midnight, or it was late. I got up the next morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. Those people were still at the Capitol voting on the bills.
What time?
5 o'clock in the morning. I got up and watched the end of the session, and they gavelled down and they voted to fully fund the CCAP program. And not only that, they funded that program and increased the spending in it. And I remember also that I took the House caucus, had the audacity to stand there thinking it's so funny, holding this omnibus bill, which is about this high in paper or more, laughing in the face of taxpayers. Ha ha, look at this huge bill that we're going to go vote on. I was so outraged by that. It's like, how can any taxpayer sit by and watch this? It's our job as taxpayers to call these people out, friends. We vote. These are the people that we voted for and support. It's your job to call them up and tell them you're doing the wrong thing. You're doing the wrong thing.
You're just a scammer, Michele.
I am a scammer.
I mean, doesn't she just look and talk and sound like a never Trumper,
Yeah.
left-leaning Democrat socialist who wants to take all your money and
hair.
kill your babies?
My
I mean,
hair.
yeah, that is what the GOP signed off on. Attack MAGAsota, attack Minnesota gun rights, attack the grassroots. That's what's happened here. That's what's happened here. And somebody over here in the comments section said, thanks for doing all the legwork and fighting for us. Well, that's what's happening.
I want you to do it.
Well, all we're doing is mobilizing folks, right? See, I head up these different organizations, and we have a lot of members, a lot of supporters, a lot of people putting a lot of pressure on politicians. Michele now leads MAGAsota, and she's got a lot of support. She's talking to a lot of grassroots people. She's having a lot of meetings all across the state and really advancing this stuff. It's because the power is being taken away from them. It's because we're doing this legwork to bring more activists on board, to bring more Minnesotans on board to help take their state back. Well, can't have that.
Why would you hate that so much? Why would you hate that? Why would you hate that people support President Trump and they want to actually do something? They want to be mobilized, they want to work for the president, and they want to win Minnesota. Why would our party hate that?
Well, that's the thing here.
Why do they want to destroy us? Why do they want to destroy you, the grassroots?
Well, I know exactly why. Well, there's multiple reasons. First of all, yes, they are trying to get away with all of these things. $12 billion in new taxes, the Obamacare crap from back in the day, the funding for abortion through the medical assistance program, the CCAP fraud in the DHS. Again, all funded by Republicans. They want to get away with having passed Real ID. They want to get away with screwing up the whole MNLARS program. Okay, that's what they want to do. And we are simply telling the truth about that. And what's happening here is, well, MAGAsota is rapidly growing and bringing on more activists, and they're outside the Republican Party. They're like, kind of like real Americans. Like
We're 100% Americans.
Like how Americans used to do this type of thing, where they didn't have to be under one giant banner all the time. What's happening here is the money and the people and the support and the phone calls and the activism are coming in to organizations to fight on their behalf outside of the GOP. And the GOP can't have that. Every activist needs to be under their thumb. Every dollar needs to go into their bloated coffers. Every single person needs to do, say, think, and act exactly as they say so. And you couldn't speak against a Republican. Oh, no. Never mind that the Republican has voted Democrat their entire time in office. No, we have to promote them. And if you're not, well, you're a scammer. You're a liar. And again, guys, this is all coming from the top. This is coming from Jennifer Carnahan, who's the chairwoman. This is coming from Paul Gazelka, who's the Senate Majority Leader, and Brokeback Montana Doubt, who is the House Minority Leader. They are the ones crushing the hopes, the dreams of the grassroots and saying, you don't have a voice. Well, let's just read this. Here it is from the Minnesota GOP. I'll just read a little excerpt from this. This is the Minnesota GOP email that they sent out to all the Republican activists. It says, where are we at here?
The highlight.
Oh, man. Despite these great strides, the foundation of who we are as Minnesota Republicans is being assaulted and manipulated by outside groups posing as Trump supporters and leaders.
Ben, I have never assaulted anyone.
Well, it's like, what does that even mean? These groups prey on low information activists that love our president and manipulate those activists to get involved in efforts that cause harm to our president's ability to win Minnesota.
Okay, we should stop there.
Oh, that's where I'm stopping. I mean,
I am so outraged by that statement. I am deeply offended. Are you folks understanding what they're saying? If you do not work with the Republican Party, you are a low information activist. And not only that, you are easily preyed upon. You don't have the discernment to figure out what's right or what's wrong. That's how they view you. I'm thinking Hillary Clinton here and deplorable. Now here we have somebody, is it Jennifer Carnahan, who's now labeling us as being low information activists?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, what is that? Honestly, like low information activists that love that love our president.
Dumb?
I mean, how many times have we sat here and watched CNN and MSNBC and all these fake news, left-leaning, liberal media outlets go, those stupid Trump supporters, bunch of backwoods hicks, bunch of low information activists, just too dumb. They just line up and vote for President Trump. They're not half so enlightened as we people in our skyscrapers in New York City or in California. That's what they think. That's what they say about Republicans and Trump supporters and grassroots Americans all over the country. And now we get an email from the Minnesota GOP saying that you are a low information activist that loves your president, apparently because you're so stupid. Because you're a low information activist who loves the president, you're just too stupid, and you're easily manipulated because apparently you have two teeth and a big old straw sticking out, and you're the big old bumbling buffoon who can't think for yourself. Thanks, Republicans.
I know,
Thanks,
right?
Carnahan. Thanks, Mr. Rogers.
Slap in the face.
And what, if anything, is going to hurt the cause in Minnesota? That is. And again, Minnesota Gun Rights is a 501c4 nonprofit. We do not endorse candidates. We don't collaborate whatsoever. We would never do something like that. MAGAsota is a wonderful PAC, but these people are wonderful people who support President Trump, who support this truly an America First policy.
Yep.
And so MAGAsota's out there trying to turn Minnesota for Trump. And the Republican Party says, no. If you try to do that on your own, you're going to biff it all up. You're low information, you're stupid, and you're easily preyed upon.
Well, in that stupid website that they created, they said that our efforts will be marginal, that our efforts are marginal. How does that make you feel about that? Like, Ben, if I didn't even do MAGAsota and I organized my own little neighborhood with my own little sheet of paper and my neighbors are on it and we organize little events, to try to maybe raise money for President Trump or try to just go out and get the vote out for him ourselves, is that marginal?
Yeah.
Because I'm not affiliated with the party. I'm marginal. Any of my efforts are marginal and don't matter. That's what they're saying.
The party hasn't turned Minnesota red for a Republican candidate running for president in over 40 years.
1972.
Great freaking job you guys are doing. Yeah, let's get on with the GOP because they're the ones who are leading the very successful effort to turn Minnesota red. You guys have screwed it up for over 40 years. And you turn on Minnesotans, conservatives, your own Republican base, and you viciously attack them, and you call the members. And I'll tell you, Minnesota Gun Rights, we have tens of thousands of members and hundreds of thousands of supporters. Hundreds of thousands that we communicate on a nearly daily basis via Facebook, direct mail, email programs, and our social media platforms. Hundreds of thousands of supporters all across the state of Minnesota. It's a massive, tremendous organization full of Minnesotans. I mean, if I lived in freaking Ecuador, it wouldn't make a difference, okay? They're from if I lived in China, I'd probably die of some what do they call that? Coronavirus. I'd probably get wiped out by the coronavirus, but Minnesota Gun Rights would always exist because it is the lifeblood of Minnesota, because all of our members are Minnesotans, okay? And so they're sitting here saying you are all scams. You're all scams. Your voice doesn't matter. If you sent them an email through our email platform, through our activist center, well, you're a scammer. You've been scammed. You're being scammed. And the fact that you even sent an email is somehow part of the great scam. It's like, did we not put these folks in contact with their politicians? Isn't that the whole point? We are mobilizing grassroots folks to stand up and fight for their state, to fight for their gun rights, to fight with MAGAsota here on behalf of President Trump. But the GOP is working overtime to snuff that out. Shame on them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you seriously think President Trump would have an issue with grassroots people going out and supporting him? I mean, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a massive grassroots movement in this state to win. And you know what? After participating in 2016 and 2018, I had this great awakening that unless something else was done, we were doomed to lose again in this state, because the organizational efforts in this state are so minimal. And you know what, Ben? I get on the phone and I talk to hundreds of people. I've talked to thousands of people, and I've made thousands of phone calls. And occasionally I will hit a BPOU member or leader that their biggest complaint to me is, we're not getting what we need from the state party. We're sitting out here, we need this, we need that, we need this, and they're not getting it. And my response to that is, then go do the work yourself.
Yeah.
Go leave the couch right now and start walking up and down your streets and getting a list of Trump supporters and start doing the work yourself. Because if you're just going to sit back and complain about what you're not getting, that's not a winning strategy either. And I understand your situations that you're not getting what you need, but that you can't let that be a reason or an excuse not to do something. That's why I did MAGAsota. Yeah. And you know what? People are free to come and go as they want. No one's forcing anyone to join our group. Right. We're not doing anything nefarious. And all you trolls that are watching me right now, I want to tell you, I know one libertarian person. And that libertarian person is the Scott County GOP chair where I live. That's the only libertarian I know. We're not driving thousands of libertarians into the caucus this year. You people in your conspiracy theories are nuts. You're nuts. And it's old. It's old. You're causing the problems in this state, not the people who are actually doing the work.
Yeah. I mean, all this is done, and in case nobody's watching this happen, they launched this attack on Facebook. It's on the Minnesota Senate Republican Caucus Facebook page. It's on the Republican Party of Minnesota Facebook page. They're tweeting about this all over the place, and these statewide emails. It's blown up spectacularly in their faces. Nobody believes this crap. So if anybody's driving division, if anybody is pulling the grassroots apart, if anybody's going to lose this state for Trump, if anybody's going to biff it all up, it's the GOP. It's the Republicans who are attacking these grassroots Minnesotans. Janine says they are afraid they'll be found out because you point out who votes for what and how they aren't supporting the 2A or babies, and their spending is absolutely outrageous. It is. Absolutely outrageous. And on a side note, we've been talking about this for a long time. If you're a Minnesota gun rights follower, then you know what I'm talking about. I mean, Paul Gazelka's got an axe to grind with gun owners because we have held his feet to the fire. We have called him out. We have forced him. We have forced him to be stronger on the Second Amendment than he ever wanted to be. And so they love to level these accusations at us. And here's the thing about, go ahead. I mean, here's the thing about us, okay? When people attack us, we take it head on. We take it head on. And we say, oh, you're hearing this? Well, that's not true. And here's why. And we lay it all out there. And we say, here are the facts. We have always taken it head on because we've never had a thing to hide, because everything we've ever done as an organization is beautiful, wonderful in every way. You ever notice how anytime Paul Gazelka talks about us, he does like a 1.5-minute video? Where's my chicken neck? Give me that chicken neck. Here he is. Chicken neck Paul. There he is. You ever notice how Chicken Neck Paul, the bottom one there, that's a sly duck, and the top one there is a dumb politician? Okay? You ever notice how he never addresses a single thing we say? He never addresses the questions gun owners have. He never talks about the vote for taxpayer-funded abortions. He never talks about the CCAP fraud, whether they did or did not fund it. He never, ever addresses the very real question that tens of thousands of Minnesotans are asking him and others about what is going on in St. Paul. He never does, because they got no answers.
That's what politicians do. They don't give you an answer. They'll
No
just
answers.
work around,
Spin,
work around,
deflect,
work around,
spin,
work around.
deflect, spin, deflect.
Mhm.
Happens every time. Liars.
Well, calling us scammers is an absolute lie. No one has ever said in the public arena that they've been scammed by MAGAsota. So that's an absolute lie what they're saying about MAGAsota. No one has ever said they've been scammed by MAGAsota. And we are crystal clear. We have nothing to hide either. Our FEC filings are good. We don't have to report till April, since we registered our PAC after the first of the year. So all you people who want to go out there and start tossing all that baloney around, you can stop already. And by the way, you can go there. It's public information. I'm not going to do the legwork for you. I'm busy, recruiting people to go to the caucus, and all that information is there. So you just stop with that. You're wasting time and energy. And instead of attacking people who are doing the right thing, why don't you pick up the phone and start finding Trump supporters, organizing yourselves?
Yeah.
That's what we want you to do. That's what MAGAsota is all about. It's connecting Trump supporters together, getting you guys out there to door knock and make phone calls, do meetups, get into parades, support the president. That's all we're doing.
If you guys want to support that effort, okay, again, we're a 501c4. We don't endorse anybody. But if you want to get on board with Michele, there's links on top of this video in the description of this video. You can make a contribution to Minnesota gun rights, and you can get on board with MAGAsota and help them with their efforts to save our state. Because that's what we're doing. We're just doing it. She's doing it with MAGAsota. We're doing it with Minnesota gun rights. We're just trying to stop the advancement of radical socialism in America. We're trying to stop the spread of communism in America. And the Republican Party of Minnesota has fallen down on the job so many times, over and over and over they do. And if you speak negatively of them, if you speak the truth, and now we have spoken the truth too loudly for them to shut us up, this is what they do. They unite as an entire RINO party to attack hundreds of thousands of their own supporters, or who they say are their supporters. Gary says,
Ben, I'm not even from Minnesota.
Are you not?
I'm not from Minnesota. I'm not a native, but I love America.
Yeah.
This is about freedom and liberty, people. This whole 2020 vote and 2024 vote is going to be about your freedom and liberty. And if you don't get off the couch and start working now, 2024 is going to be a setup for a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. We're fighting pedophiles, baby killers, and communists. That's who we're fighting against. Yeah. And I'm tired of people being intimidated by those voices. I will not let a baby killer intimidate me, or a pedophile. Yeah. My voice of freedom and liberty is way bigger than that. America is freedom and liberty, friends. That's what you're fighting for right now.
Yes. Mark wants to know, when is Gazelka up for re-election? This fall, guys. November. Okay? These anti-gunners, these never-Trumpers, these people who hate the babies, who vote against them, they need to be run out of our state. Stand up and fight back. There is a better way. We don't need these people to lead us, because the only thing they're out to do is protect and enrich themselves. To protect and enrich themselves. Again, they want all the money. They want all the activists. They want all the power. They want total control over what's going on in our state. And we say, you can't have it, because you're not doing your jobs. You're not doing your jobs. Nobody called them out for their votes for taxpayer-funded abortions until we did, until Minnesota Right to Life did. And we're going to fight for those babies, and I am leading that charge, along with what I do here at Minnesota Gun Rights, because we're sick and tired of the betrayals. We're tired of the death. We're tired of it. And so we call them out for it. They say, they're liars, scammers, liars. But then you go on their scam website right here, and I'll read this to you. Let me just read this to you. It says, myth. Pro-life legislators in Minnesota betrayed their values and voted for taxpayer funding of abortions in the 2017 budget. And then, fact, listen very closely. The state budget passed on May 25, 2017, which is the exact date that I've been giving out for like the last how long. Funny how that it's almost
Weird, huh?
It's almost like I was telling the truth.
Right.
The state budget passed on May 25, 2017, that would be Senate File 2, included billions of dollars in funding for health and human services, including the state's medical assistance program. Hey, I was also been saying that for a while now. The 1995 Minnesota Supreme Court ruling, Doe versus Gomez, ruled that medical assistance funds paid for childbirth, that if medical assistance funds paid for childbirth, they also had to pay for abortions. So while it's true that Minnesota taxpayers' funds are used for abortion, legislators did not compromise their beliefs or betray pro-lifers by approving the state budget. You just said that all of these legislators voted for taxpayer funding for abortions. And then you say it's true, but they did not compromise. Because guys, in case you didn't know, when it comes to the babies, it's the thought that counts.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you vote, as long as you believe that you're pro-life, as long as you personally in your heart, love the babies, that's what's important. The 20,000 babies who died because of that vote, that's not important. It's all about how you feel inside. They just said exactly what we've been saying this entire time. And no, they did not have to obey that Supreme Court ruling.
Of course not.
They choose to do so. They choose to do so. They choose to do so. They're having their cake and eating it too. They're voting to fund abortion to protect them from the left. And then when they talk to all the voters, they say, I'm pro-life. And MCCL says that they are pro-life. And if anybody calls them out on it and goes, wait a minute, but I thought our tax dollars were going to fund abortion, they say, oh, I know, it's so sad, those little babies. I wish we could stop it. And yes, but Doe versus Gomez says that we have to fund this. We don't have a choice. It's such a shame, and we're going to keep fighting for life. So go out and vote Team Red, because maybe someday we'll overturn Doe versus Gomez and we can actually stop doing this stuff. Bullshit. What an absolute fraud. That is the biggest scam in Minnesota politics.
It is.
It's the biggest scam.
Sellout. Do you call that sellout? That's
Sellout.
a sellout.
I mean, is everybody understanding what's happening here? This is a full frontal attack on citizens, on conservatives, on real Republicans, on Trump supporters, on pro-lifers, on the pro-gun community. And this is not coming from Tim Walz. This is not coming from Melissa Hortman. This is coming from the entire state GOP and every single member of that executive committee who held, because again, yesterday morning, guys, they held an emergency meeting to decide what to do about Minnesota gun rights, about MAGAsota, about Michele, about me, about you. And the party agreed to this total attack, and all it's going to do, all they're doing here is destroying our chances, Minnesota's chances at getting real conservatives elected into office, at getting President Trump to win in Minnesota. They're totally working against everything they claim they believe. But isn't that the freaking MO of the MNGOP? I mean, look at their party platform. Their party platform says we are pro-life, and they fund abortions. They say they are for limited government, and they grow our taxes by $12 billion. Okay? They say that they are for, less immigration and against illegal immigration. And then they pass CCAP fraud and steal your dollars to give to these fraudulent programs. Everything the party platform says that the party believes is the totally freaking opposite of what they actually do in St. Paul. And instead, they unite to attack conservative Republicans, Trump supporters.
This is what the Democrats do.
Yeah.
This is what the Democrats do.
Well, the Democrats, if I was Tim Walz, I'd be sitting here doing backflips, watching.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Democrats have to be doing backflips of excitement that the GOP is attacking their own base of supporters. I mean, if I was Tim Walz, I'd be getting drunk right now. Oh man, look at this. My job's too easy. As a radical, leftist, socialist, Democrat governor, I don't even have to attack conservative Minnesotans. I can just let the GOP do it. Do you understand? They are not the lesser of two evils. They are keeping us in the ground. They are keeping us down. They are stopping Minnesota from rising better than she ever was. They're destroying conservatism. They're not stopping the radical left. They are joining them. Walk away. Walk away.
Agreed. Amen.
Walk away.
Amen.
Stand with Minnesota gun rights. Stand with MAGAsota. We're real conservatives. We actually believe in the stuff we fight for. We actually fight for the stuff we believe in.
Sure do.
And so do our members, far more
Yes.
importantly. I mean, I'm seeing these names on here. I'm watching on the Minnesota gun rights page. Michelle's over here on the MAGAsota page. I'm seeing Gary and Mark and Terry and Paul. I know all of you. Scott and David. I know these names. Tremendous supporters of the work we do, and not just on the sidelines either. These people make phone calls. They send emails. They donate. They rally. They door knock. They drop literature with us. They work their butts off on their own with us of their own volition. And Marcia, who just commented, they stand up and fight with us. And that's the problem that the GOP has with us. That's the problem that Jennifer Carnahan has with us and that Paul Gazelka has with us, is that these people aren't a bunch of slappies for them. I want to go ahead.
Okay. Well, Ben, let's just clarify something here. You know, everyone says, you know, what's with all this infighting? What's with all this division? And they're trying to point their finger at me for causing this. And I just want to tell you, I'm not in anything. Do you understand that, friends? I'm not in that party. I'm not in that group. I don't have any authority or say in that. I'm out here trying to rally grassroots supporters. All that infighting is on them. They can't get along within their own party. And I think the big reason for that, the reason for all this division is because we have legislators out there that are not voting conservative. And people like us have to go up there and raise hell with them. And then the people who support them that are uninformed about their votes are calling us the dividers.
Yeah.
Because we're calling out the people who do not vote the way they're supposed to vote. We are now the dividers. That's not how this is. The voters should be checking everyone's vote.
Yeah.
Anyone who's voting up there at the Capitol, you need to check who's voting for what.
I mean, America will never get better. Our politics will never get better as long as we say that the Republican who sponsors universal background checks, like Scott Jensen and Paul Anderson in Minnesota, that the Republican who sponsors universal background checks is not as bad as the Democrat who sponsors universal background checks. Somebody tell me the difference. Somebody tell me the difference. The difference is that while we call out both, if you're a Democrat sponsoring gun control, we're going to come after you. If you are a Republican sponsoring gun control, we are going to come after you. And the difference is the GOP will desperately try to save, protect, and advance a Republican who is acting like a total Democrat. Paul Gazelka has desperately tried to save Paul Anderson, who was sponsoring universal background checks. But the pressure got too much from Minnesota gun rights, and Paul Anderson decided that he was not, in fact, going to run for re-election. You see, we actually have principles. Our members have principles and stand on them. We don't compromise. We draw a hard line in the sand and we say, you cross this line. We're not crossing this line. You politicians cross this line. You stand with us. We are not going to compromise and stand with you. And
I go after both, Ben. I go after Democrats and Republicans both. I go after both. I just want to say, you know what? The supporters of MAGAsota, the team members in MAGAsota, these are some of the most amazing people. And I love them. We've had hundreds of meetups now, and these are the most incredible people I've ever met. And when we started doing this, I knew hardly anyone. Like, I thought I'd see all these people from 2016 showing up at our meetups. These are people I've never met in my life. So where did these people come from?
Yeah.
Where did they come from? We are bringing new people to the table, and the GOP doesn't want new people at the table.
Yeah. I talked with a legislator 2 nights ago, and he was talking about MAGAsota and how he had been to some of these meetups. And he said, I went to this meetup and I thought, I'm going to know, there's going to be like 5 people there, and I'm going to know all of them, just kind of your run-of-the-mill GOPer types. And he's like, I got there and he said, there were 60 freaking people in the room and I knew 2 of them. Where in the heck did Michele did MAGAsota, where did they find 58 people in this district who I didn't even know who are getting involved to turn Minnesota for President Trump? He was mind blown. He was freaking mind blown. I mean, how is that working against President Trump? How in the hell is that working against conservative issues? No, you are liars. You are liars, and the truth is not in you, and everybody knows it now. Now I think this, to be totally honest, this brings a lot of hope for me. I'm very hopeful because of these attacks. Now I think we can see some change in Minnesota. Now the veneer is gone, okay? The makeup's been taken off the pig. The pig has been revealed for what she really is, and it's a nasty, dirty, stinky old pig. And now I think that we as grassroots Minnesotans have a chance to take back our state, to remove the old hands who have been holding the levers of power and return power back to the people, and do away with this old government structure that has been annihilating our freedoms for decades and decades. I'm actually, in some ways, I'm appreciative that the GOP
Me too.
Finally revealed their true colors. Finally revealed their, I mean, for heaven's sake, they're putting out websites calling us scams, but right in their very myth and fact section, they're admitting to everything that we've been saying. Here's another one. Myth. Taxpayer funds are used for abortions in Minnesota. Listen, this first half of this sentence is totally true. So again, myth. The myth that I've been saying, that Minnesotans have been saying, that Minnesota Right to Life is saying, the myth is that taxpayer funds are used for abortions in Minnesota. And the fact says, while this is tragically true.
Yeah. Who did this website?
Like, who made this?
Who did this?
Thank you for
nuts.
finally admitting the truth. While this is tragically true, it's not because of pro-life legislators who passed a ban on taxpayer funding of abortions in 1978. That law was ruled unconstitutional by the Minnesota Supreme Court in 1995. The last time these worthless SOBs tried to stop abortion in Minnesota was 1978. I was like 15 years away from being born yet. Yes, our tax dollars are being used. That's not a myth. You type myth, taxpayer funds are used for abortions in Minnesota. Fact. While this is tragically true, it's not because of pro-life legislators. Really? Because all of your so-called pro-life legislators vote for this stuff. And I'm just happy. I mean, I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken that this is the way it really is. Like Michele said, it's very sad because many of our people, many of our members, our supporters are GOP people. They've been activists. They're active in their local BPOUs. They get involved in the process. They're conservatives. And so it is a sad thing, a very sad thing to have to sit here and talk about this crap. But again, I do find hope in this, and that now the truth is out there. You know, what do they say? Half the battle is admitting you got a problem, or how's that phrase go? It's like, 50% of the solution is actually knowing you have a problem or something. I don't know how the phrase goes, but that's what happened here is now at least the truth is out there. We can work with the truth. The grassroots can't work with a pile of lies. And that is what Jennifer Carnahan, Paul Kozelka, and Kurt Dowd have been peddling for years and years, is a pile of lies. So at least the truth is out there now. I think there's so much, that we can do with that. I don't know. I like to see the good side of everything.
There's such a power struggle in the Minnesota GOP. I hear it constantly. There's power struggles at the city level, at the county levels. And, with MAGAsota, we don't have that. We don't have that drama. The other thing we don't have is we don't have rhinos and never Trumpers in our group either. We are pure straight on Trump supporters. Right. And that is so awesome. I mean, we don't deal with any of that drama.
You guys are right leaning as heck.
We are.
You couldn't get a never Trumper to join MAGAsota if their life depended on it.
Right. We don't have to deal with all this garbage. We don't have to deal with power struggles. We don't have to waste our time with that. And if anyone wants to come in and start that drama, you're gone, because we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
We are behind the 8 ball right now. We only have, are we at 7 months now before the election? That is not a lot of time. And we started organizing months ago, and we've been making thousands of phone calls across the state. We've sent thousands of emails out. We've done like 4 fundraising emails. We're a campaign. We need help.
Yeah,
friends.
You should be doing 3 times as many requests for finances.
I don't even reimburse myself. I do this for free.
Oh yeah.
I do it for free.
Oh yeah.
All of our money goes back right into the organization to support the volunteers, to get all the things that we need to run an effective campaign. That's where that money is going. And it's staying in the state of Minnesota. Our money does not leave the state. Our phone calls do not leave the state of Minnesota. And our volunteers do not leave the state of Minnesota. Our work is Minnesota.
Yeah. Scammers. No, you politicians are liars. And you're only out there to protect your own pocketbooks. The only people who are doing great work with the finances that are entrusted to us, because I've said it before, it's a sacred trust. Money is not easy. I mean, maybe it's easy to come by for Michael Bloomberg or something, but money is not easy to come by. And so anytime somebody sends $10 to Minnesota Gun Rights in the mail, it's very important that we use that in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. And to maximize what we can do with it, to maximize the pressure, the programs. It's a sacred trust, and we don't take advantage of it. We don't take it for granted. We don't. These politicians. I mean, you read this this email of theirs over here, and they're saying we have one goal in the state: to elect Republicans up and down the ballot. Any outside group or entity that tries to use our activists and leaders, you see, they own you. They own you. They deserve your money. Own me. They deserve you. In their minds, they deserve everything. They deserve your activism. They deserve your money. They deserve your time. They deserve everything. I mean, the arrogance of that is just unbelievable. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them anything. They owe me. I know, and you guys don't owe us anything. That's the thing. It's like Michele just said, you can come and go from MAGAsota as you please. We don't call and chew out somebody who decides to drop their membership in Minnesota Gun Rights. If you don't want to be a member, you don't have to be a member. That's how this works. It is an honor. It is an honor and a privilege to have you as members, to have you as supporters, to door knock with you and to rally with you. It is an honor.
It is.
And these Republicans over here, these rhinos, they're Republican in name only. In name only. They have an R by their name, but they don't do any of the things that Republicans say they do. Becky wants to know if you just cracked a beer.
I did. I did. I'll show you what brand I'm drinking.
What is that? Oh, yummy. That's yummy.
It's so delicious. Well, here's the thing. So back in 2018, Ben, do you remember that they called out President Trump for their losses in our state? In 2018, it was President Trump's fault that so many Republicans lost in our state. So I'm wondering, is it going to be MAGAsota's fault in 2020 if some of these rhinos lose their seats?
Oh, yeah.
I'll be the scapegoat because I didn't run campaigns.
Yeah.
You know what, friends? I do not have the money or the resources or the people to run campaigns for everyone across this state. All right. We are laser beam. We are focused on a winning candidate.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key word right there, too. He is a winning candidate. And we know that if President Trump does not win, you all lose.
Right.
Everyone loses if he loses. That's what we need to focus on. He has to win or we're done. It doesn't matter who wins locally. If President Trump doesn't win, we lose.
Well, that's the thing is like when you read this whole BS email they did, it's all about how we need to expose these scammers to help President Trump. It's all about President Trump. You see, these losers know that they are losers, that the loyalty of the people, not all of them, but the loyalty by and large of the grassroots is to President Trump because President Trump is freaking delivering for the people. And so when they send out these emails, they couldn't possibly say, oh my goodness, these organizations are attacking the Republicans. Stand with us because we are Republicans, because there's no loyalty to them, because they suck at everything they do, because they pass funding for abortions. They do the CCAP. They pass gun control and they stop the pro-gun bills from passing, and on and on and on and on it goes. There's no loyalty to the Minnesota GOP because they've earned none. They've earned none. And so at the end of the day, this email is all about protecting themselves, not President Trump. This has nothing to do with President Trump. For them, it's just their best way of trying to turn people against grassroots activists like you and me.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't care if he wins.
No. And they sit there and go, oh, scammers. Michelle's working for free.
Oh my God, live my life.
I know.
I'm behind the phone nonstop in my office calling hundreds of people. All right. I could be out living my life too, but I'm choosing something that I feel is way more important at the moment. And that's to get President Trump a win in this state, because you know what? This is our last chance. For our state, I truly believe this is our last chance.
Yes.
If we can't win Minnesota for Trump, it'll never go to another Republican ever again. Not in my lifetime anyways.
No.
It's just not possible. The left is out of the closet. They've exposed who they are. They'll never stop. They will never stop until they destroy America. And if we do not find someone with backbone to stand up for America like President Trump is, we're doomed. As a nation, we're done. And locally, we have a swamp here, friends. The swamp is alive and well in St. Paul. And we just want to drain that too. We want people to do the right thing in St. Paul. And so here we are.
Well, that's at the end of the day, again, they're out to protect and enrich themselves. It's like, I mean, nobody ever talks about the fact that Paul Gazelka and Kurt Doubt all get paid taxpayer dollars. They get big fat taxpayer salaries for working like 3 months out of the year. Yeah. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but when they run for office, they get taxpayer subsidies to run for office. Did you know that? Your tax dollars, not only do you pay Paul Gazelka's salary to be a public servant, but then when he's running for re-election, he takes more money out of your pocket to pay for his re-election campaign. Did you know that? Boy, that's not something they door knock. They've never knocked on my door and said, hey, I'm out campaigning for office, and by the way, I'm using your tax dollars to pay for it. And they call us the scammers. We're the scammers.
Ben,
just jump ship. Enough of this.
You look like a millionaire to me. Sorry. I hope you're not offended by that.
No. I mean, and that's the thing is, I've said this before. It's like, I'd actually like to sit down on camera sometime with a hater. I mean, a full-blown, raging door hater, right? Because there's a lot of them. And I want them to just ask me any question you want. And I'll answer your question honestly. You know, it's like all this big talk. It's like I get kicked in the teeth. Our members get kicked in the teeth for standing up for what we believe in. And I drive a nearly 30-year-old piece of shit Honda Accord, and we rent. We finally moved out of this piece of crap 2-bedroom, 910 square foot apartment that we've been renting in Northfield for the last 4 years. And we finally moved out of that apartment to now we at least have a townhouse where the kids can run around. So we're renting a townhouse. My wife, you know, and we're the scammers. Right. We're the ones just getting filthy friggin' rich. No, people like Michele are fighting for the future of America. People like MAGAsota and Minnesota Gun Rights and Minnesota Right to Life are the ones standing on principle and saying we are not going to cross this line. It is Jennifer Carnahan. It is Paul Gazelka. It is Kurt Doubt. They are the ones who are more than happy to gut our state if that's what it takes to remain in power. If that's what it takes to remain in power. It's not about you. It's all about them and themselves. And I just want to mention, I want to tell that story real quick. Another thing, Michele has done so much on so many issues. It's hard to keep track of them all. But one that I specifically remember, do you remember when St. Louis Park was trying to ban the Pledge of Allegiance? Do you remember that? We were there. Minnesota Gun Rights was there. We did a Facebook Live video from there. Got like 75,000 views on it. I'm a big scammer. And and a lot of people showed up to put pressure on the St. Louis Park City Council because they were going to ban the Pledge of Allegiance in order to, quite frankly, make a bunch of Middle Easterners happy. They don't like our flag. They don't like our creed. They don't like our pledge. And so this left-leaning St. Louis Park City Council was going to ban the Pledge of Allegiance before their city council meetings. Right? And what happened?
So, well, my friend Marnie lives in Hopkins. I shouldn't have said that maybe on air. She carries, by the way, so I wouldn't touch that. She found out what the city council was planning, and she got right on the ball, and she started posting this on social media and organized our first protest down there. And so we went down and did our first protest, and they didn't even see it coming. And it just went like wildfire. It went nationally. President Trump tweeted about it 2 times.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
2 times. I got on Martha McCullum's show, and it went national. We had people from all over the United States of America reaching out to us. We blew up their phone lines in St. Louis Park. They had to shut their phones off at their city hall. It was that bad. For almost a week, they had their phones shut down because they couldn't take it anymore. And you know what? Grassroots, that is grassroots activism right there. That is grassroots patriots that showed up for America. We showed up for America.
It was awesome.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It's the videos still, make me want to cry. It's just it was so incredibly moving to have that win and that victory. We need that. We need more of those wins and those victories.
It was awesome.
It was.
And I think a lot of you probably saw that video because it went pretty big for us. And what happened? What happened at the very end? After all of that, at
the very end of that, the next day, an email comes out from Jennifer Carnahan saying that she organized this event and that she won. And oh, P.S. by the way, can you send us some money now?
Oh, yeah. The Jennifer Carnahan who sent out this email calling us a giant scam, who attacked Minnesota gun rights and MAGAsota, Minnesota Right to Life, who attacked all of these supporters, didn't lift a finger to save the Pledge of Allegiance in St. Louis Park, but she rolls up at the very end. We watched it happen. She rolls up, gets out of her car, walks up to some TV cameras on scene, right? Because she's there fighting to save the pledge. She does an interview talking about how the GOP is here in St. Louis Park fighting to save the Pledge of Allegiance. And then they turn around and do a statewide email saying that they saved the Pledge of Allegiance and send us money. How much more of a scam can you be? How much more of a scam can you be? At least everything we've ever sent out to our members and said that we did and asked for contributions was true. You know, at least it was all true. Jennifer Carnahan and what she just did here and what she did at the Save the Pledge rally was the great big fat scam, and they fundraised off of it after lying.
Ben, you know, they don't even go after people like Ilhan Omar. I mean, those are the people they should be focusing on. Ilhan Omar stands up every day and talks about how much she hates America. She is a representative of our state. Why isn't the party going after that? She hates America. Will you please stand up and tell her to shut up? That our state is not going to tolerate that anymore. But these people don't do it. They don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. They don't want to be called racist. They don't want to be called Islamophobes. They don't want to be labeled anything. Guess what, friends? We've already labeled you. We already know what you are.
Yeah. I mean, they're just going to steamroll us all.
Yes.
I mean, can you fathom not speaking as a Republican Party in Minnesota? Can you imagine Ilhan Omar being off limits?
Right.
Can't say anything bad. They bring nearly 100,000 Muslims, Somalians, different from all over the world. They bust them in here. They bring them in here. They use your tax dollars to pay for this stuff. And what do you hear from the GOP? Nary a word.
They throw us under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
If we speak out against it, our own representatives throw us under the bus. That is such a hot button for them. They will not touch it.
Yep. How's that? Do you think we're going to win Minnesota that way? Do you think we're ever going to get our state back? Do you think we're ever going to stop the advancement of the radical left with Jennifer Carnahan and Paul Kozelka and Kurt Dowd leading the party? You would be wrong. And Terry made a good point here. Said Jennifer Carnahan was fundraising off of the MAGAsota event. I mean, I don't know if MAGAsota was officially formed at that point with the Save the Pledge rally. That's basically what it was. It's you're the folks you work with, the people who got on board with your program, the activists that you were mobilizing and working with. This was MAGAsota. This was MAGAsota saving the pledge in St. Louis Park that Jennifer Carnahan was fundraising off of. Oh, but now
I
you're a
want to clarify
scam.
that though, Ben.
Go ahead.
I don't want MAGAsota to take credit for any of Save the Pledge. I want every single patriot that showed up that day, those two events, I want them to take the credit for it.
Absolutely.
It is all on you folks. All you people that showed up, all you patriots that showed up, you saved the pledge. It wasn't MAGAsota, it was the patriots.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it. Everyone showing up.
I kind of, at Minnesota Gun Rights, we kind of use the term interchangeably. It's like when I talk about Minnesota gun rights, I could not be more clear. I don't think. Maybe I could be a little more clear. It's always the members. It's like it's our members who sent 120,000 emails into St. Paul in 2019 opposing gun control. I didn't. I couldn't, even if I wanted to. So when I'm sitting here saying that MAGAsota, I'm not saying Michele won that Michele saved the pledge, because Michele was one person there and I was one person there. But there were hundreds and hundreds of other people who came out, and if I remember right, it was pouring friggin' rain.
It was a terrible storm.
Just pouring rain out there. So man, it was damp
And we
a little,
won.
and we won, and
We
we won, and we won. And Jennifer Carnahan, you didn't do a thing. You didn't do a thing. You didn't do a single thing. So, you know, I don't know what you guys think about that. I think it's a big old load of hogwash. And I think we need to get this word out everywhere. Share this video. Have your friends and family watch this. If they've ever been involved in politics in their lives, if they freaking vote, ask them to take a little time when they're on the treadmill or when they're sitting on the couch or when they're driving on the road, plug it in, just listen to this broadcast so that everybody knows the truth about what's happening in Minnesota politics, about what's happening in our corrupt and backstabbing GOP that's turning on all of their own activists, that's viciously attacking their own people and lying about the members and supporters of these organizations. Everybody needs to know, because the apparatus that's at work here, the DFL and the GOP, it's not working for you.
Right.
It's not working for us.
Right.
It's not working for our guns. The babies are dying. In 2019, our Republican Senate under Paul Gazelka voted for Senate File, I believe it was Senate File 12 on May 24, 2019. May 24, 2019, Senate File 12. Our Republican-controlled Senate lined up and voted to fund taxpayer funding for abortions and to fund Planned Parenthood. Because of that vote, between the middle of last year, 2019, through the middle of next year, during this 2-year period, 20,000 more babies will die. 20,000 more babies will die. And your dollars that you go and pay every year to the state and to the feds, that money is being used to kill those babies. And Paul Gazelka funded it. Paul Gazelka funded it. The entire Minnesota Senate GOP lined up and voted for this crap. We're not going to save our guns. We're not going to save our babies. We're not going to save our freedom, our country, our flag, our pledge, our rights, our liberties. We will not be able to drain the swamp. We will not be able to stop the influx of these radical anti-Americans who are coming into our state. We will not be able to do this as long as Jennifer Carnahan, Paul Gazelka, and Kurt Dowd control the Minnesota GOP. As long as their executive committee thinks that the best thing for them to unite on is to attack grassroots conservatives by the hundreds of thousands, as long as they believe that's what they need to do to save our country, to bring more money into their own pockets, as long as that's the case, we're going to lose. We need a total regime change in the state of Minnesota. So go to minnesotagunrights.org. There's links above this video. Get on board with MAGAsota. Get on board with Minnesota Gun Rights. Stand and fight with us, because really we're just trying to be a bullhorn for the people. We're just trying to be a voice of the people to the politicians to stop them from what they're doing. And that's really why this whole attack has happened. Our voice became too big. Your voice became too loud. They got too many emails. They got too many phone calls. The MAGAsota events were too big. There's too many activists on board. This platform is too loud. Too many people watch these videos. Too many people get our emails. Too many people are operating as grassroots conservative Americans outside of the corrupt and degenerate GOP platform here in Minnesota. And that is the danger. That's the danger. That's the reason this attack came out against you, is because their regime is threatened. Well, it should be. We need a total change here.
Right. I'm just asking you, friends, to stop listening to the noise. There is so much noise out there and so much distraction. People who are coming after the people who tell the truth, you have to use some discernment here. We have no nefarious things happening here. Ben's trying to save babies. He's trying to save your gun rights. I'm trying to win Minnesota for President Trump. I have no other motive than that. That is the only thing I want. I want to go to bed on November 3rd and shut off the light and know that I did everything. I want to have that conversation with God. I did everything I could to win this state for President Trump. And that's all I want. And I want that for you. That's why I'm doing this. I'm giving you an opportunity to get on board with us and to go work for President Trump, because you're not going to get it somewhere else. I guarantee you that. By the time they get organized and mobilized, it is too late. We have something monumental to overcome in our state, and it's going to take a lot of effort to see that happen. And if we run out to try to play the Rose Bowl on November 3rd and start recruiting and mobilizing people 30 days out, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
You don't win that way. You have a team that's coordinated and working with each other and mobilized, and you have your game plan and strategies well ahead, months ahead of that game. And that's what we're doing right now, because we want to win. We want to win for him. And all these people who want to come out here and tell us that we're scammers, and, please just shut that off.
Yeah.
Those are lies. No one is scamming anyone. I am as
not on our side.
Not on our side. I am as transparent as you can be. If you've donated any money to me and you want to know where that money's at, call me up. I am more than happy to talk to you about that. I will tell you everything. And if you don't even want to talk about the money and you want to talk about our plan, call me up. I'm going to talk to you about it. Yeah. I have never once received a phone call from the Minnesota GOP, and they're trying to tell me that I'm not working with them. No one has ever reached out. I've reached out to Kevin Poindexter, who's running the Trump Victory Campaign, and he acknowledged that he's willing to work with anyone who supports President Trump.
Did you hear that?
Where are we at?
The guy who's running the Trump Victory Campaign in Minnesota, when Michele reached out and talked to him, he said, I'm happy to work with anybody who's on board with President Trump.
He knew that.
So
he knew that email was going out. He knew that website was going up. I talked to him. He knew exactly. He lied to me about it.
And that's the reason these organizations, that this stuff was being created, right? Like, these are alternatives to what was going on, the great loss, right? I mean, because there's multiple gun rights organizations in Minnesota. The problem is that those guys, those losers at the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, are all just a part of this swamp. They endorse these anti-gunners. They protect the rhinos. They keep their mouths shut about what's going on in St. Paul, and your gun rights suffer for it. And, the same was happening years before they ever came onto the scene. And that's why Minnesota Gun Rights was created. Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life has been, for decades now, supporting the death of children, have been supporting the wholesale slaughter of babies through this medical assistance program. And they never talked about it. They never exposed these politicians. They gave all of them endorsements and A ratings. That is the reason that Minnesota Right to Life exists, okay? And the GOP, which has been screwing this up from the get-go intentionally, who's not out there fighting for President Trump, who's not out there advancing that cause, they're doing it for themselves. That's why MAGAsota exists, is because these so-called establishment groups, these establishment hacks, have been working against all of these issues. And that's why we exist. So do us a favor, go to donate2mgr.com, donate the number 2mgr.com, become a member, make a contribution to Minnesota Gun Rights, help us fight back against this garbage, against these attacks, help us keep fighting for gun owners, okay? And then there's links on top of here too. You can get on board with Michele, get on board with MAGAsota, stand with them, and help us expose the tyranny of what's happening in Minnesota state politics. Help us expose the arrogance and the total condescension and the entitledness that these losers have over here. These are our activists. They're low information activists, and they're easily duped and taken advantage of, but they should donate to us. Help us expose that crap, because we've had enough. I know you've had enough. Again, Go share this video with everybody that you know. Share it in every conservative group that you know. Go to all the Minnesota groups and post this video in there and help us get the word out about what the heck is going on.
Yeah, our website is www.magasota.com. Please go there.
MAGAsota.com.
Sign up, become a volunteer.
Yeah.
Send a contribution. We could use the money.
Absolutely. Help them.
We're using it in Minnesota, friends, and we're not paying some overhead anywhere either. We're not paying a salary. All right. When you donate to this other group, you're paying someone's salary.
Yeah. Yeah. When you donate to when you donate to the GOP, they have these massive, like, swanky parties, and they like rent these giant hotels, and they have these big ballrooms, and everyone's eating steak and popping champagne, and all the bigwigs show up. I mean, if you're donating to the GOP, I mean, you bought somebody a freaking steak dinner at a giant GOP party. Okay, it didn't buy a flyer. It didn't help door knock. It didn't create a poster that went to advance this cause. You paid Paul Gazelka's salary. You paid Jennifer Carnahan. Okay, that's what's happening over there, and that's what they want to keep happening, because, man, nothing's better in politics than taking advantage of the people in order to advance their agenda, protect themselves, and enrich themselves. Yeah, go to MAGAsota.com. I think it's such a cool name.
I know, isn't it great?
MAGAsota. It's like,
it means something.
There's no other state in America that you could have incorporated the word MAGA in with, like, the state name. So
everything was
MAGAsconsin. I don't know.
Everything was by design with purpose. Definitely our logo, our color. I mean, everything. Yeah.
Go to MAGAsota.com. Get on board with them, guys. Go to MinnesotaGunRights.org or click on the links on top of this video. Help us fight. Because right now, just speaking for Minnesota Gun Rights, we have a major, major fight happening in St. Paul. Red flag gun seizures and universal background checks passed the House not the House Public Safety Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee just a couple of days ago. We have a big fight to stop gun control, and here we have the GOP purposely trying to turn us away from that fight, and now we have to focus energy on stopping this attack, again, not from the Democrats, but from the Republicans. See, this whole thing does nothing but hurt the causes that they claim they believe in. It hurts the cause of the Second Amendment. It hurts the cause of pro-life and Trump and lowering taxes and holding people accountable. And it's totally intentional. So make a contribution to us. Stop giving to those losers. Stop giving to Jennifer Carnahan. They're mismanaging it, and they're using it to attack grassroots conservative activists all across the state of Minnesota. Walk away. Walk away. These are the RINOs who stood against President Trump when he was running for office. It was Kurt Dowd who said that President Trump should drop out of the race because he's not fit for office. Okay? It was Paul Gazelka who told me to my face that the reason we lost all of those Republican House seats in 2018 here in Minnesota was because of President Trump, and that it was all his fault. Stop giving to them. Stop giving to them. Stand with us. Fight with us, because we will always stand and fight for you, no matter what the storm, no matter who attacks, no matter what they do, no matter how many emails or videos or Facebook posts or fake websites that pop up. We're going nowhere. We will always fight.
I'm here for you.
All right, I think that's about it, guys.
Okay.
Do us a favor, share this video, go to MAGAsota.com, get on board with Minnesota Gun Rights. We love you. Share this video around. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk soon. Take care.